Folks, I'll tell you what, I am here with one of my close friends. I'll tell you what, he's become a close friend. This book's incredible. This book is unbelievable. I'm sharing it at the university with my entrepreneur students. It's something I wish I would have had years ago. Welcome, Steve Distante. How you doing?
Thank you, Kary. I am amazing. I am feeling so grateful to be here and to be able to share with the world my new creation.
Oh my gosh. This book is unbelievable. I I think you've created a new category. Like it's literally a new genre of literature. It's what? Would you call it fables?
Oh,
What
it's
are we
totally
talking?
fables. Yeah, it's totally fables, but I think it's educational, experiential fables. I mean, one of the things I love about the book is the binding is on the side, so you
Mhm.
get it long. And what I've been doing, somebody suggested that, like when we were kids,
Yeah.
this book belongs to. Actually,
Ah,
I put a little "this book belongs to" when I'm signing the book, so the person gets their name in there as if they're a child again. So
so good.
yeah,
It's so good. Well, listen, the book is doing really well. I know it just released and already you got 2 dozen reviews. Um, it's incredible. Let's talk about Stone Soup. We're just gonna take people right into the middle of some of this content.
oh
So,
yeah.
what is Stone Soup?
So I love to do multimedia. I love for us to be able to experience things in a much more deep way. And so each chapter typically has a QR code that goes to a podcast, YouTube, interview. And that
Mm.
particular story, which was the opening story, was a conversation with Joe Polish. And Joe, this book and the platform we're going to talk about in just a little while was created for Joe Polish,
Wow.
because what he said to me was, I've invested in dozens of entrepreneurs and I don't know what the heck I got. And he says that it's often I feel like when I'm dealing with entrepreneurs, it's like those guys in Stone Soup. They got
Mm,
nothing, but they want you to just like throw in all your money into their business. I'm like, that's interesting. And then we started kind of diving more into it. So the story opens with these two carpetbaggers, entrepreneurs, kind of hoofing it along, and they're exhausted, and they see this sign, 0.2 miles to Elfish Town. And they looked at each other
mm.
and they said, Elfish Town? Where I come from, elf means easy, lucrative, and fun. Heck yeah, we're in. And they get into the town and they're in the town square. They start building a fire and everybody is just nasty and not very welcoming. And so they start to look at each other like, what the heck is going on here? Turns out the town was actually called Selfish Town, but nobody cared enough to put the S back up. So they had Elfish Town. But these two entrepreneurs, they changed the trajectory of this town forever. They
Wow.
actually went from town to town to town. And that's part of the message. As entrepreneurs, we may not have resources, but we're resourceful. And when we touch something, when we use this energy, this drive that we have, we can change the world. And we don't need millions or billions of dollars to do it. All we need is to have our energy, our focus, our drive pointed in a direction, and we'll inspire other people. I mean, I know you know lots of young entrepreneurs, right?
Sure.
And what do they want? They want to be able to make a difference with their businesses. I mean, especially today, people want to make a difference with the businesses they have. They want to be impactful. They want to be in alignment with what the reason they were put on earth.
Yes.
And in Stone Soup, these two carpetbaggers, self-proclaimed chefs, changed the trajectory of Selfish Town to now Elfish Town, easy, lucrative, and fun. And it's a great way of opening the book, because it's very relevant how significant of a difference we can make. And what I find, there's two points I want to make here,
Yep.
is when you tell a story, people remember it much, much better than my first book, Pitchology, The Art and Science of Raising Capital. those chapters are almost textbook of how to do certain capital raising. The other part so stories stick. And the other part is, what I love about my second book here is, in the stories, there are some true, some not so true. So your brain kind of relaxes, and it says, hey, I don't care if this is true or false. I don't need to do any fact checking. I can just be here and go, wow, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. So, yeah. And you know what? Travis just put inside the box here. He wrote, he just got the audio book, and he's looking forward to driving to each story. Thank you, Travis. I really appreciate that. One of the things I was told by Joe Polish, believe it or not, was, when you're doing an audio book, you need to do it in your own voice.
Yes.
You have no idea how difficult it is. That is rough.
It is. It is. But listen, I bought the audio, and I told you, like, listen, man, I'm going to crush this thing. And I listened to that thing. You know, I do cycling. And so I listened to that thing. I'll tell you what, there's a little trick with audiobooks, by the way, I'm going to teach everybody. It's your notes tab. And so you click your notes tab, and you can literally speak notes. So Steve, I kept saying, okay, the point about the elf soup, the point about the, you got this other part in the book where you talk about this, this stone that someone comes in and gives to a young entrepreneur who was burned and financially, robbed. And if you could share that, because I feel like, folks, let me just tell you, this is a book you need to get. Number one, you're going to feel like, I learned a ton. You had a really fun time learning it. But the mistakes that you can save these entrepreneurs at any level, like this one, where someone got embarrassed because they were stolen from, and they started playing a small game. Can you share that tale?
So the story starts off with a gentleman who wants to not be a shepherd anymore, and he comes from a long line of shepherds, and he wants to become a watchmaker. And he has a watchmaking and repair shop, and he hires his best friend, and he could never make ends meet. He can't figure out what the heck is going on. And they're in about 3 years, and suddenly he's looking at the front register, and he's watching a transaction. And this happens in the 1800s in my mind. And that's the other part about fables, is you create that story and the setting, and you actually put yourself in it or somebody else. So he's looking up front, and his best friend is doing a transaction. He slips a piece of gold into his pocket. And his friend's been telling him for how long that they can't make it. And suddenly he learns that his best friend is stealing from him. And he doesn't know what to do about it. Because in Entrepreneurland, and in our lives as entrepreneurs, it's a lonely journey, especially if you don't have fellow entrepreneurs to talk about. So what do? Do you put him in jail? This is your best friend. And at the end, and so he's distraught. He finally gets rid of this guy. And a older man comes in, and he looks familiar, and he hands him a stone, a small, really unattractive stone. And he says, by the time you realize what this stone is, I will be a distant memory. And it was the success of his business. And I get choked up talking about it, because unfortunately, this is my story.
Wow.
It happened to me. And so you'll find out what Eric's last name is at the end of the story, and then how he continues on to be able to make this great business happen, So
That's great. That's great. I love it. But the book doesn't just stop at the book. You've created this incredible community, and the community is the Private Investor Network. And
yeah,
I'm going to show people a little bit about this. Yeah.
yeah, it sounds kind of like salesy, but it's not. So as entrepreneurs, if we do make it to the point where we can have some money, right, and we could have some fun, Entrepreneurland is where we're actually able to invest in entrepreneurs and help them. I hate to say skip to the front of the line, but basically not have a lot of the pain that we actually had, and bring them credibility, bring them money, bring them mentorship, and so on. And the Private Investor Network is a way that we entrepreneurs can keep track of the investments that we've made in fellow entrepreneurs. So we have a whole dashboard and such. But then being able to match entrepreneurs with entrepreneur investors. Now we're just starting. This is happening. It's on Mighty Networks. However, right now, if you join, it's free. We're not charging fees yet. And if you get in early, you'll get to see what we're doing. And one of my commitments is I never change the price for anybody. So wherever you come in is what you're going to be committed to.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Folks, that's crazy. I'm part of it. So I'm popping in the link right here. Did you hear what he just said?
Yeah, and again, I don't want it to be salesy, but what I do want to do, so you and I know Dan Sullivan, and it's who do you want to be a hero to? I want to be a hero to entrepreneurs, because just like Eric in the watch shop got taken advantage of by a second in command who stole money from this person, from Eric. Well, that happened to me. And guess what? In Entrepreneurland and in being an entrepreneur, it's not if, it's when you're getting one from. So I teach people how to avoid that, what to do, having bank statements sent directly to your house and via email, and making sure you have copies of checks. And there's always ways for people to be able to do things, but this is supposed to be cautionary tales. But Kary, the cover of this book is relevant because gather around the fire, right, and tell a story. And so what they're finding is that storytelling is a lost art, and people are not using it enough. And when you look at the walls of the cave, in that cave there's a wolf, 3 pigs, you have an idea of what might be in there, and an owl. I've taken the 3 little pigs and I've created what I call a trilogy, 3 different stories about the 3 little pigs. So these are familiar stories, and we're taking them and putting them in an entrepreneurial perspective. And so you're teaching a class on entrepreneurship, right?
Yes.
And you're having your students participate and read the book?
Yes.
And what are they thinking? What is some of the feedback you're getting?
I'll tell you what, they are grateful. And what I mean by that is they are grateful that you're helping them from the pain that they would otherwise walk right into. And I feel like, your book is not just for new entrepreneurs.
No.
One, I think, is like the story of Eric. It's going to validate. It might actually free up an entrepreneur who's been locked for decades, saying, I can't let anyone know that my own brother stole from me, or I can't believe how stupid I was that I let, my eye off the ball. And they might be stuck. So whether it's the brand spanking new entrepreneur, like the ones in my class, or the ones who've been out for decades, there's something for everyone.
Without a doubt. And thank you for that. And so I just spent some time with Lance Armstrong, Donica Patrick, and a guy named Jonathan. I don't know how to say his last name. He is one of the founders of Kajabi.
Okay.
And sure. $2 billion valuation, got bought out. And one of the things about professional athletes, so you've heard of the book Driven, right? Actually, we do an interview.
Listen, you got me to listen. Steve is great at books. He told me to read Harvesting Your Intangible Assets, which I just finished over the weekend. And Driven is literally showing you the genes of your DNA, your brain, as an entrepreneur. So your book recommendations, not only your own book, are amazing.
Thank you. And so it's believed that 10% of the population are entrepreneurs, have the genes and the DNA, but we also share them with Navy SEALs. We also share that with athletes. So one of the things that, and this was an intimate setting, it was 20 people, and Lance and Donica. And I don't know if you know Donica, she's a NASCAR driver. She was, and she's like, big deal, big deal. The challenge with athletes is they peak early. They spend their life chasing something else. And typically they turn into entrepreneurs because that drive is what they need to feed. And one of my chapters talks about the entrepreneurial triangle, which is our drive, our will, and our risk. And we got to feed them all. So it's important for us to understand as entrepreneurs that we have these different sides to ourselves. However, there is a transformation that can happen to people who were not born entrepreneurs and want to evolve to entrepreneurship. And that's why I want to help also, because the biggest battles you're going to have in business is between your ears. That's the biggest battle you're going to have. It's the confidence we need to have. What does Dan Sullivan say? I hate to be quoting him regularly, but I'm sure the IT police are watching. And
confidence?
Confidence is like the power to your appliances. If you don't have, for an entrepreneur, confidence is like the electric that goes to our appliances. If we had food in our fridge and we didn't have electric, the food would rot. And so as an entrepreneur, confidence is really important, right? And there's also clarity. To be clear on those next steps. And the stories go through so many of these things, these different concepts that are helpful for entrepreneurs.
Listen, I know you're humble, dude, but come on now, guys and ladies who are watching, Steve, this is crazy. You know, you've been part of the United Nations on entrepreneurship.
We're going to do that again. I just got asked if I would lead this event that we're going to have at the UN. And my job was to share the UN Sustainable Development Goals with entrepreneurs to help them align their businesses with something that they felt that was germane or relevant to their existence. Because as entrepreneurs, we can make such a big difference. So you know what? I'm a human doing, not a human being. It's more like I do stuff, and then maybe we'll talk about it. You know, it's like, this is important. The book, the Private Investor Network, these are important. These are things that I could do the rest of my life and feel very satisfied. And if you're a student or a parent and you want to get something special, get this book, because this book is going to be very relatable for a lot of people. And we're just going to take a fable that you know and turn it on its ear. We're going to take real live events like Christopher Columbus, who got denied 8 times. And then finally, the King and Queen of Spain said, yes, they don't all have to be animals. They can be humans inside of a fable. And this fable really feeds you some fact and some fiction.
I know we got a few minutes left. We're dropping links about joining the free community, getting the book. But in the book, man, I looked in the mirror, and there's a few times where talk about the arsonist. How entrepreneurs like myself, if we're not careful, we're going to set fires.
So it's all part of that drive that we have. So, and who you want to be a hero to. And so one of the things that happens to entrepreneurs, and they don't realize it, is often I'll be talking to an entrepreneur, talking to them about the Entrepreneurs Organization, which I'm a founder of a chapter and president and involved. And I talk to people about membership, and they're like, I'm too busy putting out fires. I said, okay, I have a question for you. Are you a paid firefighter? Or are you a volunteer firefighter? Or, and this is the one that hits them right in the gut, or are you an arsonist? What's going on in your business that you constantly have fires? And often we lose purpose and direction and clarity in our business, and we set fires in our businesses unintentionally, subconsciously, in order to be a hero again.
Ooh, that is good. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And we do it, right?
I
so
think
things are going really good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then you mess them up, right? You mess them up. Why do we do that? It's because we're not clear on where we should be going. We're not in our highest and best use. I'm not president or CEO of my company anymore because I just messed things up. I actually head up some of my research and development because I got to meet a gentleman named Salim Ismail, and he wrote a book called Exponential Organizations, another interview and book that's referenced inside the book. And Salim taught me this very, very important, very distilled purpose of this book. Good organizations have an immunity to our entrepreneurs, shiny thing chasing, squirrel distractions, and just suddenly wanting to abracadabra change everything. And if you have a good organization, it will propel those ideas into another room, which I call my research and development room, where I have my own team that can do that. So on your journey, get successful to the point at which you can have your own little posse, your own little group that can help you develop new ideas, new concepts. So, I mean, you need the courage to be able to do these things that's never been done before.
I love it.
Right? And the kind of courage.
Steve, this is fantastic.
So I got a question. So yeah, this is Exponential Organizations, and this is 2.0. That's the one with my friend Peter Diamandis in it. So Peter's pretty cool. Know him through Abundance 360. Really, really great. But there's, I think, almost everybody that I interviewed in the book has written a book. So it kind of is this book that keeps on giving because you can dig deeper. But there's some really unique content in there that is original to me. And thanks to you, Kary, through Easy IP, I'm able to, get on the blockchain and show first use for these concepts that I'm bringing to the world. And I love that about you, Kary. Thank you for doing that.
Listen, man, this is a great, great interview. You're coming through 100% clear. I apologize. I might be lagging a little bit on my Wi-Fi, but let's wrap up the interview by getting the Private Investor Network again one more time, because the book is amazing. And folks, we're putting it, there it is right there. The book is absolutely amazing. Get a copy for your entrepreneur friend as well. But it doesn't stop at the book. You have a community. And did I hear you right that if people go to this link, currently you have a free version right now?
I do. If you apply, you will get in for nothing. And we're just gathering people, doing some education along the way. And yeah, you'll get in. And my commitment to you is anybody that joins and gets approved, because we can't have some naysayers and so on in there, will reserve that price forever. That's our commitment to you.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Well, Steve, listen, I know we're going to be hanging out together in Florida and Chicago and Tennessee this year and all kinds of places. But what would you like to tell people? Maybe someone, as we close today, they're discouraged. They feel like, I don't know if I have what it takes to be an entrepreneur, or, you know what, I just got, I just had something, betrayal. I had, funding not happen. What would you tell someone who needs some hope today based upon the book?
So I just learned this, believe it or not. There is a section of our brain that actually thrives through adversity. And David Goggins, of all people, if you've heard of him,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah, he actually has a song he creates from all the negative emails he gets, and they're pretty vulgar, so I won't repeat any of the things that he says.
I like it.
So they find that people who are challenged and face the challenge have a bigger segment of this part of their brain, which actually stimulates us. And so, you know, I think it was Wayne Dyer who said, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change, right? Which is really true. And growth through adversity is something that people don't appreciate, because there's another saying, I love these sayings, which is, the night is always darkest before the dawn. You're about to have a breakthrough when you feel most challenged, because it moves us to do things that we never thought we could do. So my advice to everybody is keep going. It's around the corner, your success, the opportunity, the people. Your eyes can only see what your mind is looking for. And if you lean into those challenges that you have, the value is going to be unbelievable. You won't believe how much you can create. And that's when some of the most relevant inventions and concepts and topics and books and whatever you've seen invented that you feel is incredible usually happens when you don't think it can be done. When people say you can't do it, that should be fuel for you. That should be your fire. When somebody says, that's a dumb idea, because everybody, including your parents, will tell you, maybe you should be doing something a little easier. Maybe this is a little too challenging. And as parents, we got to make sure we keep our kids in that challenging realm, right? So that's my ask.
I love it. Steve, this was a fantastic interview. Again, you came through 100% clear.
Great.
Yeah, well, you came through 100% clear. Love it. I love it. And folks, get the book. The book is amazing. And Steve Distante, thanks for being here today, my friend.
Thank you. And again, universities, get in touch with me. I am so excited to be able to get more students in this realm. Entrepreneurs, check this out. It's going to be mind-blowing how much you'll enjoy yourself. You'll enjoy reading once again, because that child's mind is going to come out. So thank you so much for having me today, Kary.
Thanks, Steve. We'll see you. Take care, everybody.